Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I'm Dr. Jawad Ashraf, Assistant Professor in Institute of Computing, Kohar University of Science and Technology. Today I'm going to talk about PHP Forms, and this topic is very important. As we already discussed, we are going to build a website in ASP.NET MVC. We study MVC in detail as compared to PHP, but the concept of form is applied similarly to all the website or the server-side languages. I would want you all pay great attention to this lecture as it is going to help you in the future lectures. So we are going to discuss simple form. We go through different examples to understand how it works, and then we'll discuss get and post methods and when to use which method, and then we are going to talk about routes. By routes I mean how the data can be transferred from one place to another, one page to another page, and how you can organize different sections of a website using different techniques. So let's get started to the first example of the simple form. Before going into the details of form, let me give you an example. When you go to a website and you register yourself for the website, you provide different information like in first name, last name, username, email, password. This information is collected through a form element. Website collects the data, process the data, and then it may validate it before processing it and give you an appropriate message according to the status of validation of information, and then stores that data into a database. What I'm trying to say is that you have already come across the working of form, how it actually works, what it is. Let's see this in WT School website. I have provided these links in the presentation as well. First, I'll take you through HTML form page. We are in the section of HTML in WT School website, and then there is a subsection of HTML forms. Here's an example of HTML form. I think it's better to give it a try to see how it works. Different elements of a form element are written over here, and let's see the form in action first. You have a label here saying first name, and then there's a text box, its own values provided to it, last name and do. When you are going to submit this information or press this submit button, what will happen, as this text says, the form data will be sent to a page called action page, and that action page is going to process however they want to process it, and it will be rendered on that page in this example. Submitted form data, your input was received as fname, a short for first name. It is actually the name of the text element. Here it is, ID of the text element and the name of the text element. So this fname is used to collect the data in action page, and then the next the value in it is the L name, which is do. The server has processed your input and returned this answer. Now let's understand what's going on behind the scene. Form element is represented by a simple form tag, and this form tag then further contains different form elements. Form elements can be like text fields, checkboxes, radio buttons, submit buttons, and a few more. You place these form elements inside the form tag. If they are outside the form tag, these elements will not be able to transfer the information to the next page or whichever page you want to send it to. You guys are already familiar with the different input elements that you have practiced in your previous exercises and your previous lectures. Let me take you to the important attributes of the form element. Form element has one very important attribute which is called action, and here you can see the value provided to this attribute is action underscore page.php. It is telling that whichever information will be submitted through this form will be sent to action underscore page. And the other attribute which is very important in a form is target attribute. Here, I think you people have already used this attribute in anchor link. It is very similar to that attribute. When you click the submit button, the action page will open into a new page or a new tab. Let's give it a try. Already gone through a similar example. Here we have an additional attribute of target given to form tag. When submitting this form, the result will be open in a new browser tab. Let's see. You can see that the page that is opened is action underscore page.php, which was mentioned here in the action attribute, and the information can be seen after the question mark. This the string that starts after the question mark is called query string, and then we can see the variable f name has John value, and with ampersand l name equal doe. We'll go into the details of this query string very soon. Now let's go back to our form page. The next attribute, which is very critical, is the method. In this example, the method value is get. This is a certain way of sending information. Let's try this example. When you will submit this button, or you will submit this form, you will notice that form values is visible in the address bar of the new browser tab, which we saw in the previous example as well. What does it mean? This information is transferred to action underscore page PHP page using get method. And the other example of, or another method of sending information through form is a post method. When we will try this example, you'll see that we won't be able to see anything in the URL, but still the data has been transferred to action page. Why is that so? Let's get into the details of get and post method. The questions are what these two methods are, the get method and the post method, and when to use which method. The default HTTP method when submitting form data is get. If you don't specify any method in the form tag, then the system or the website considers that you have chosen for the get method. Like in this case, there is no get method defined or assigned in this form tag. So by default, it considers that you are going to submit the data using get method, and that's why you see the data in the URL. So when you specify the get method or use a get method, what you see is the data will be visible through the address bar like this, or you've seen in action as well. What it does, it appends the form data into the URL, and it makes a pair of name value. And there is a limitation that how much data you can send using get method. As you can see here, the length of a URL is limited to 2048 characters. Now that you know that data is visible through a URL, then it is not reasonable or wise to send sensitive data through get method. It becomes useful though in cases when a user wants to bookmark the page, and with say such certain search criteria or certain conditions, then this get method is going to help the user to mark that page. On the other hand, post method is a very effective way of transferring data, and developers prefer post method for data transferring because data is not visible when you submit through post method, and there is no limitations. You can send huge amount of data. You can send different types of data like images, videos, audios. So that's why the developers prefer this post method. The next important thing that you must know about sending data through form is the name attribute of the elements. If you don't specify the name of an element, then the data entered through this element will never be sent to another page. And this text says the same thing which I just told you. If the name attribute is omitted, the data of that input field will not be sent at all. So let's see what happens when you try this example. The first name, John, we are going to submit this button and it says nothing. Why? Because the name attribute is missing in this element. So the data is not sent to the next page. What if I change this example and specify the name of this element? Let's see if it captures the data. Running the example, submit the button. Now it captured the information sent to the next page. I think it's enough that we understood how how HTML forms work. We haven't seen the PHP side of these forms. We just understood that what a form tag is, what are the important attributes in the form, and what different methods are used to transfer the data, and what is the importance of a name attribute of an element. Now let's move to PHP part of the form. PHP uses the concept of superglobals. Superglobals are those objects or collections or arrays that can be accessed throughout the website. For form collection, PHP uses get and post associative arrays. Whenever the data is sent from one page to another page, uh, those elements which are going to be transferred to the page are going to be stored in the get and post superglobals, and with the help of these you can access them in another page. Let's go to a simple PHP form on W3 School website. I'm on PHP page and the subsection is form handling. The code is very much similar to the one we just saw in HTML page. Let's try it. I'm providing my name, my email, submit, and the information is displayed on another page. The page the information is sent to is welcome.php and the method is post. So let's see what's happening behind the scene. In welcome page, the code is like this: welcome and the PHP section of the PHP section, which is getting information from the post array, and it is embedded inside the HTML. And the post array is looking for an associative name, that is name. And if you go to that page, you'll see that the name attribute of name text box is name. That's why he got this information. And the other one is email. So the name attribute of email is email, and the code over here tells your email address is, and then the PHP code which is echoing the value stored inside this post array. The same result could be achieved using the get method. The difference would be you have to specify the method as get, and you can send it to another page if you want to. Rest is same. And the way to get the data or to collect the data from the super global get array is this. Rather than using post, you use get. The next section talks about the get versus post. Get and post methods create an array of key value pairs, where keys are the names of the form controls and the values are the input data from the user. Both get and post are treated as underscore get and underscore post. These are super globals, which mean that they are always accessible regardless of scope. And you can access them from any function, class, or file without having to do anything special. And underscore get is an array of variable passed to the current script via the URL parameter. And we just saw that how this thing looks like. And post is an array of variables passed to the current script via the HTTP post method. Current script means the page you are sending information to. Like in the previous example, it was welcome.php. Next point on this page is about when to use get and when to use post. We have already gone through the material of this section in HTML forms. It's very much similar, so we don't have to discuss it again. I think we have covered enough to understand how forms work, and we saw an example of post method form and a get method form, and then we discussed the difference between get and post, when to use get and when to use post. The next topic that I'm going to talk about is routes. There could be hundreds of pages in a website, and it becomes very troublesome to manage these numbers or growing numbers of pages in a website. So it is always a good idea to organize pages in different folders. Say you have different kinds of users who are going to access the website, as you have admin users and teachers and students. So you can organize their relevant pages inside their relevant folders. But the tricky thing is, with the increase in hierarchy of these folders and pages, it becomes harder to access pages at different level. To explain how these things work, or how to handle the problem of referencing pages at different level, I'll give you a few examples. So let's go to the example then. I've created a login page and a welcome page. Login page is at level 0. I mean, it is at the root level of the website, and the name of the website is first. And in login page, I'm sending the information to welcome.php. Here, I haven't mentioned anything else other than the name of the welcome.php. What PHP engine assumes that you are asking for a welcome.php page at the same level of login.php. So when I browse this page, I provide information and press submit button, it is going to look for welcome.php inside the first folder, the same folder login.php is residing in. So far, so good. What if I want to go to a page inside another folder? I created a folder level 1 and say this is a folder for admin, and inside this folder I have a page dashboard. So let's see how we refer to this dashboard page from admin login page. Let's browse it and let me provide information. And what it is saying, object not found. The page that web server is looking for is not found. And the reason is it is looking for the page inside first folder. And we already know that dashboard is not in the first folder, but inside another folder called level 1. Okay, then how to solve this problem? Let's go back to the page. Here you need to tell the server, the web server, that look for the page inside a folder and the folder is at the same level of admin login.php. So I would go for level 1 and then inside level 1 look for dashboard.php, and you see you are getting auto completion from VS Code. So it knows that dashboard.php exists in level 1 folder. So I selected it and let's give it a try again. Browse. And now it's successful. Now it looks for a folder at the level of admin.php and the name of the folder is level 1, and inside that folder looks for dashboard.php. Okay, now there's another scenario. What if I want to move, or I want to send data from a page within the level 1 folder to a page at the root level? I created a page send.php and I want to send the data to welcome.php. And for this, if I want to tell that go to the root level and then look for welcome.php, I need to use this double dot sign and forward slash. This double dot sign tells that go one level above the current level of the page. The level of the page send.php is level 1. So it is telling web server that whichever page I'm residing in, go one level above that, and in that folder look for welcome.php. So the web server will reach this page. Let's give it a try. So I am in level 1 folder, and inside that on send page I have submitted it, and the information is sent to welcome page, and welcome page is in level at root level, which is the folder first. Okay, so we have covered somehow a little bit of routing, in which we saw that how pages at one level can reference pages at another level. I'm going to wrap up the session over here, give you a recap that what we discussed so far. We discussed form element, how it works, what are the important attributes of form element, and then we saw that how PHP code can be used to send data using get and post methods, and what are these methods and when to use which method. And we also discussed the pages at different level referencing another pages. I think I have covered sufficient amount of PHP coding, PHP environment. This will help us in understanding that how much MVC is different from this traditional or classic or old approach. In the next lecture, I'm going to talk about ASP.MVC. So see you in the next lecture. Assalamu alaikum.